You didn't have to lie. The truth was fine. Simple. Harmless. Nobody would have cared. And yet, something happened in the space between the question and your answer. A tiny decision, so fast you barely noticed it. And a lie came out. This is not rare. This is human. Most people think lying comes from fear. Fear of consequences. Fear of judgment. Fear of being exposed. But deception researchers found something stranger than that. People lie constantly, even when telling the truth would have been easier, even when nothing is at stake, even when they are completely alone. In one study, participants were asked to roll a die in private and report the number. The higher the number, the more money they earned. No one was watching, no camera, no pressure, no accountability. And still, the results were statistically impossible. Too many high numbers, too many winners. They lied for a few extra dollars. To no one. That should disturb you a little, because it means lying is not always a strategy. Sometimes, it is a reflex, and reflex-level behavior is far more dangerous than calculated deception, because when something becomes automatic, you stop noticing it. Psychologists call this self-serving cognition. Your brain does not just lie to protect you from other people. It lies to protect you from yourself. The uncomfortable truth gets edited before it fully reaches your awareness. What feels like memory, judgment, or honest opinion is often already a curated version of reality. Think about the last time you were late. What story did you tell? Traffic? A last-minute call? Something unavoidable? Probably not. I misjudged the time and left too late. The accurate version was there. It just never made it out. Evolutionary biologist Robert Trivers argued that humans may have evolved to deceive themselves first, so they could deceive others more convincingly. If you believe your own lie, there is no hesitation, no obvious tell, no visible crack. Your body does not betray you, because your mind has already accepted the false version as true. In that sense, self-deception may have been rewarded. That is not a character flaw, that is architecture. But it gets worse. Because lying, even unnecessary lying, often has nothing to do with hiding the truth. It has to do with managing identity. Every day, whether you notice it or not, you are presenting a version of yourself to the world. And sometimes the truth does not fit the version you want people to see. Someone asks if you have seen a particular film. You have not. But saying no feels like a small exposure, a small gap. So you say something vague, or you pretend you have. Nothing serious is at stake, but the lie protects the image, not from disaster, just from a moment of looking less informed, less interesting, or less complete. Sociologist Irving Goffman called this impression management. Life, he argued, is a performance, and lying is one of the tools people use to stay in character. The problem is that small lies do not stay small. They compound. Researchers at University College London found that the brain's emotional response to dishonesty weakens with repetition. The first lie creates discomfort, stress, cognitive friction, a clear internal signal. The next lie creates less, and after enough repetition, the signal begins to fade. The amygdala, the part of the brain involved in processing emotional salience, starts adapting to dishonesty the same way it adapts to a bad smell. You stop noticing. Researchers called this the slippery slope of dishonesty. It does not begin with fraud. It begins with something small, a tiny lie about where you were, a slightly altered version of what happened, a harmless excuse, and each one quietly resets your internal standard for what feels acceptable. There is another layer to this, one most people never think about. Lying can become rewarding, not chemically addictive in the strict sense, but neurologically reinforcing. When a lie works, when someone believes you, when you avoid embarrassment, gain approval, or escape discomfort, your brain registers a reward. And reward changes behavior. Your brain does not care whether the action was moral. It cares that it worked, so it remembers. This is why even people with no malicious intent can become habitually dishonest. Not because they see themselves as manipulative, but because their brain learned, quietly and efficiently, that lying solves problems, long before their conscious mind ever formed an opinion about it. So what are you really dealing with when someone lies to you for no obvious reason? Not always a threat, not always a mastermind. Sometimes you are looking at a person running old psychological software, patterns shaped by insecurity, by early environments, by years of learning to smooth over discomfort before it can even be felt. That does not excuse it, but it does reframe it. And it raises a more uncomfortable question, not about them, about you. When was the last time you said something that was not entirely true, for no real reason? What were you protecting? What image were you maintaining? What discomfort were you trying to avoid? The most honest people are not the people who never lie. They are the ones who learn to notice the moment before the lie, that tiny gap, that small decision, and choose differently. Most people never even see the gap. If you want to understand the patterns people miss in themselves and in others, subscribe.